spoke, we let you know that our work was ongoing in the case of Faye Swetlik. Today we're here to give you some of those answers that everyone has been asking for. We appreciate your patience and your time and your compassion. And at this time, I'd invite Coroner Margaret Fisher, DPS Director Byron Snellgrove, and other leaders from local, state, and federal agencies to the stage.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to personally express my gratitude to Lieutenant Mike Burrell and the Charleston County Sheriff's Department for providing the motorcade to accompany Faye back to Lexington on Saturday with the respect and dignity that she deserved. I would also like to thank the Casey Department of Public Safety and the Town of Lexington Police Department for their assistance with that touching tribute to a little girl who has touched as many hearts. Thank you to the team at MUSC who worked meticulously to help us determine the cause of Faye's death, and to Trinity Baptist Church for hosting this and previous press conferences. I want to express my appreciation to you, the media, for your compassion and constant coverage of Faye's story since last Monday, and for your patience throughout this investigation. You respectfully fulfilled our request that Faye's parents be allowed privacy and time to process the information given to them following the autopsy. On behalf of my staff and myself, I would like to express our sincere appreciation for the compassion, the kindness, and the support that the community has shown us since last Thursday. The thoughtfulness and generosity of everyone who has provided meals and other things to uplift us throughout these especially daunting days has really touched our hearts. In a time of shattered hope and incomprehensible sadness, when we must face the worst of what people are capable of, you have helped to restore our faith in humanity and remind us of the strength of our community. We encounter tragedy and loss on a daily basis, and we are impacted by each death we investigate and all the loved ones that we serve. And the loss of Faye, an innocent child who was simply playing in her own yard at the hands of another person, has been extremely difficult on all of us. There are no adequate words to express the depth of our sadness and our sympathy for Faye's parents. To Faye's mother and father, my heart, like so many others, breaks for you. I know that there's nothing I can say to bring any comfort or peace. I am so deeply sorry for what you're going through and for the loss of your precious baby girl. No parent should ever have to know such pain. And you are and will be in our thoughts and prayers, and for so many, including me, and you and Faye will remain in my heart forever. Before I disclose the results of Faye's autopsy, I want to make everyone aware that the results of the other autopsy related to this investigation will be released to the media following this press conference. Out of respect for the Swetlik family, I will only be speaking about Faye at this time. Furthermore, I will not address the conditions of Faye's body or the other details out of respect and because this is an ongoing investigation. Faye Swetlik's death did not occur at the location where her body was discovered. And her body had not been at that location. Her body had been at that location for only a short time. We have concluded that Faye's death was a homicide and took place within only a few hours after she was abducted. The cause of Faye's death has been ruled asphyxiation. Unless there is new evidence pertinent to the investigation of my office, We will not release any additional information regarding Faye Marie Swetlik. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. My name is Byron Snellgrove. I am the Director of Public Safety for the City of Casey. I've been asked by several media people to explain what that is. That means that I am the Chief of Police and the Chief of the Fire Department in the City of Casey. Standing with me up here are Margaret Fisher, the coroner of Lexington County, who just spoke, Chief Mark Keel of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, Sheriff Jay Kuhn, Lexington County Sheriff's Office, and Special Agent in Charge Jody Norris of the Columbia Office of the FBI. I want to thank them for all of their assistance in this investigation. And I just want to say that there are so many other agencies that were involved in this that it could take me all day to list them. But I surely appreciate all the information that they gave us, all the help that they gave us with personnel, and everything else that they did for us. In addition, I want to thank the community for doing all sorts of stuff for us. They were bringing us food, making sure that we had what we needed to continue to operate as far as sustenance. Trinity Baptist Church was very instrumental in ensuring that we had everything that we needed to keep everyone that was working alert and ready to go. And we truly appreciate that. On behalf of the Casey Department of Public Safety and our city leaders and our staff as a whole, I want each of you to know that this was not just an investigation or a case for us. Faye Swetlik quickly grabbed all of our hearts, and this case became and will always remain very personal for each of us. Faye will never be forgotten. There are simply no words that can adequately convey our heartfelt sorrow or condolences for Faye's family, her friends, her classmates at Springdale Elementary School, Faye's teachers, her school resource officer, and all of Lexington School District 2. Very specifically, her Churchill Heights neighbors and friends. For the entire Casey community, the loss of Faye Marie Swetlik will never leave our hearts or our minds. But it is my hope that together here today, we can start to process this horrific crime and grieve the loss of this precious life. 8 days ago at approximately 3:45 p.m., Faye Marie Swetlik was discovered to be missing by her mother. Her mother did what most parents would do. She called her friends, she gathered her neighbors, and she frantically looked around the neighborhood for her daughter. Having no luck, she placed a frantic call to 911 at approximately 5 p.m. By 5:03, Casey officers were on the scene at Churchill Heights and were gathering information. They talked with family members and neighbors and began going through the neighborhood to look for Faye. Within 30 minutes of their arrival, officers notified the Casey command staff, including myself, and all of us immediately responded to Churchill Heights and began asking for assistance from other local agencies. By 6 p.m., having so far not located Faye, both SLED and the FBI were contacted and immediate assistance was requested. At this time, we had 50 or more law enforcement officers, firefighters, and first responders on the scene, and we were doing organized canvasses door to door in searches of the neighborhood to initiate our first and initiated our first neighborhood perimeter search. Prior to Monday, many of you will remember we had a great deal of rain over a short period of time. We have areas of flooding and rough, dense terrain in our city. This includes the area directly around Churchill Heights neighborhood. Regardless of these conditions, all officers were asked to check every pool, creek, culvert, manhole, trash can, shed, play structure, woods, and anywhere else that a young girl could be. Over the next hour, our law enforcement presence grew to over 90 personnel. Both SLED and the FBI were on scene. A SLED helicopter assisted from the air, and numerous K-9 teams from several local agencies were in the area searching for Faye. Faye was placed in the NCIC, that's the National Crime Information Database, as a missing child. A BOLO, or Be on the Lookout For, was issued for Faye to every agency across our region. We placed pictures and information across social media, and it immediately was shared by thousands of people. While this was happening, the Lexington County Sheriff's Office and the Casey Department of Public Safety were setting up a mobile command unit in the middle of the neighborhood so that we could maintain a presence of officers in that area 24 hours a day until this was concluded. We also converted Casey City Hall into a much larger stationary command center for the more than 300 law enforcement officers and firefighters from across the region that joined in our search. For the remainder of the night, there was a heavy presence of first responders in and around the area. Casey officers shut down the neighborhood and were instructed to stop every car coming in and going out of the neighborhood and to talk to every person they saw to see if they had any information about Faye's whereabouts. By Tuesday morning, a dedicated Faye Swetlik hotline was set up and went live at our command center. We began roadblock operations at all entrances around the neighborhood. We spoke to everyone coming in and going out and asked for consent to look in their vehicles. Everyone was extremely cooperative, understanding, and very helpful. Our officers were provided with a standardized FBI questionnaire form that was specifically targeted to glean information to help us find Faye. This is what the officers used when they talked to anyone in reference to this case. That morning we did a coordinated effort with multiple agencies to go door to door to question all residents, friends, and visitors in all 280 plus homes in Churchill Heights. Our goal was to speak to every occupant of every residence, no matter how long it took. And we would also request consent to enter and look for anything that would lead us to find Faye. Grid searches of the perimeter of the neighborhood were also conducted multiple times. All the while, officers were again instructed to check every pool, creek, culvert, manhole, trash can, shed, or any other structure or area that a young girl may be in. K-9s continued to search, and on Wednesday, another round of grid and perimeter searches were conducted. Wednesday night, with all the current law enforcement operations taking place, we decided to bring another city department as a resource to help us find Faye. Thursday was the regular sanitation pickup day for Churchill Heights, and all residents were obviously aware of that. On Thursday morning, our officers diligently and methodically followed the Casey sanitation trucks through the neighborhood, and as each can was loaded and emptied into the back of a garbage truck, they methodically combed through it to see if they could find any piece of information or clue in hopes of finding something that would lead us to Faye. At approximately 10 a.m., a trash can near 602 Piccadilly Square was emptied, and as our officers went through it, they found a couple of items that were of significant importance. One was a child's polka dot boot, and the second was a soup ladle that had freshly dug dirt in it. I happened to be on scene at that time, and upon seeing these items, I called for assistance to do an additional and immediate grid search of the areas directly behind Londonderry and Piccadilly Square. As assistance was coming, I went into the woods behind the townhomes, and just before 10:30 a.m., I located the body of Faye Swetlik. At approximately 10:30, other Casey officers were notified of a residence that there was a man bleeding on the back patio. That was 602 Piccadilly Square. Officers immediately went to his aid and found a deceased white male. Immediately, SLED's crime scene unit collected various samples of DNA from both crime scenes and from inside 602 Piccadilly Square. That DNA, once tested, connected the unknown pieces of this horrific crime. I can tell you that the deceased male had been contacted and interviewed at 602 Piccadilly on Wednesday afternoon. He was cooperative and gave consent to agents to look through the house. Those agents did not see anything that alerted them to believe that he had knowledge or was in any way involved in Faye's disappearance at that time. Evidence leads us to believe that the deceased abducted and killed 6-year-old Faye Marie Swetlik, and it appears that he is the sole perpetrator of this crime. Evidence further shows that Faye's body was moved in the shadow of the night to behind the townhouses where she was found in the early morning hours on Thursday morning under the cover of darkness. Throughout the time we spent searching for Faye, we kept a very large presence of officers and agents in the Churchill Heights neighborhood 24 hours a day. Our team working on this case grew exponentially from 50 officers to over 300. Every door to every residence in Churchill Heights was knocked on, and officers continued to go back to every house until every resident or occupant of that house was interviewed. Many times that took 3 to 4 times to accomplish. There were 4 searches of the perimeter from the time Faye went missing until the night before she was found. That included trash cans, dumpsters, and other areas around the neighborhood. As of Friday at 5 p.m., officers had followed 283 leads just from the hotline alone. All those leads were followed until they were exhausted. We pulled video from almost 50 locations and reviewed a total of 756 gigabytes of video. I'll say in my 33 years of law enforcement, I have never seen such a large group of officers, investigators, firefighters, and other first responder and staff come together in the way that everyone did here. Nor have I seen federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies come together as a team, working around the clock as one unit with one goal: to try and bring a little 6-year-old baby girl home. I want to thank everyone who worked on this team. I would also like to personally thank each and every member of this community that called in tips, provided information, and prayed for Faye and us. I assure you, every prayer was felt and greatly appreciated. Tonight, as our entire community begins the healing process, a vigil is planned to support Faye's family, friends, classmates, teachers, neighbors, and other members of our community. And we invite anyone that would like to honor the life of Faye Marie Swetlik to attend. It will be on the lawn in front of Casey City Hall at 5:30 this evening, and it will happen rain or shine. I'll take any questions that anybody has now.
Sir, is there any indication of where she may have been between Monday night and Thursday morning?
We do not know at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Why was the decision made to do the autopsy at MUSC?
That's a question for the coroner.
MUSC is the forensic pathologist, or at MUSC, and they handle all the autopsies for the coroner's office that are forensically related to cases. So that was not an unusual thing for us to send them to MUSC. They do all of our forensic cases.
Did the suspect have a roommate?
Yes.
Were you in contact with that roommate this week?
We have been in contact with the roommate, yes. We have nothing that indicates that he knew anything about what was going on, and he was not at the residence that much during the time.
Any indication as to what the cause of death was, or they also found that?
That will be released by the coroner after this.
Talking about the security footage review that was sent to John, looking back at anything linked to Coty Taylor's involvement on that video or the tips you received?
We do have some video that shows Coty doing some things that were suspicious to us, yes.
Can you elaborate on what those were?
No, not at this time.
2 more questions and that'll be all.
Did you leave any kind of a note or message of any kind behind you?
None.
What did he say when you interviewed him?
I did not interview him, and quite frankly, I don't know exactly what he said.
Inside the residence after you discovered Faye, was there anything else that showed further evidence that she had in fact been inside that residence?
Well, DNA was tested and did connect and link the residence, the deceased male, and Faye to that location.
You mentioned that ladle with dirt on it. What led you to believe that had a connection?
It was a hunch.
All right, that'll be all today. Thank you all very much. If you have
Thank
any
you.
questions, please let us know and check your emails, certainly for a statement from the coroner's office. Thank you all very much.